Welcome to the Immerse podcast. We are your hosts, Alex O'Keefe and Dan Ramsden.
We aim to immerse you in education via our guests, bring communities together, embrace positive change and help create solid habits that yield the path for our health and longevity.
Right, here we go. Welcome everybody to the Immerse podcast. We're here again. We're in a beautiful new setting.
We're not here again.
Huh?
We're not here again.
Sorry, we're here for the first time in a new setting. I want to give a shout first to the track end, our mate James Brander, who's allowed us to come into his beautiful creative space in Pudsey, just on the outskirts of Leeds.
Beautiful
It's
studio.
got a really special vibe to it, just like our guest today. Lee Barnes joins us on today's podcast.
Both well?
Very well, mate.
Yourself?
Yeah, good. Really well, mate. Thank you.
All the better from seeing you.
Well, that's just charming. Northern charm at its best right there.
Combined with a strong tash.
Well, this is
You've got a
new.
new look.
This is new. This was kind of like a mistake. Well, I thought, it's not really a mistake, but I thought men's mental health, Movember, give it a go. But I didn't think that I was coming onto the podcast the day afterwards. It didn't kind of register. And I thought, oh no, this is the first time I've been clean shaven in 20 years.
I'm on with it as well. I've been growing out a little bit so I can do it as well, because at this time of year I like to do that.
But you can't
Just a
go.
little
You can't go
reminder.
clean shaven and then grow. Like that's too much. Like you've got to have something there.
Yeah,
and,
you've got to have something substantial.
Yeah, I think the rules are that you've got to cut totally clean shaven through Movember, like grow it. But I can't start off clean shaven.
That just doesn't cut it, does it?
I wouldn't be able to see myself in the mirror. The last time I did that 20 years ago, my dad ran away from me saying that I looked too weird. So I don't want to scare people off.
For people that can't see you, you're rocking a great tash, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very
for
much.
the audio listeners. I wanted to start somewhere quite special, Lee, with this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to paint a picture to people that are listening. So I think it was maybe 3 Fridays ago now.
Yeah, around 3 weeks. Yeah, the 10th of October.
10th of October.
So, yeah, 3 week.
Friday evening. I was invited to quite a special film premiere. And IMAX in Bradford, massive screen, full cinema of people that were there for a very specific reason. And that evening, I can't really put it into words, Lee. It was a film that you've made, which obviously explains to people kind of what you do, for Andy's Man Club. And it was showed for the first time in public 3 weeks back. And all I can say is, wow. And for people that were sat there in that cinema that night, felt something tangible through authentic storytelling, what you put together with a group of really talented actors and cast and everything and the full team. So I think that's a nice place to start. I ended up in tears myself, as well as a full room of a full cinema of people that night, because of the message that you told through this film. So I just wanted to say thank you for creating that to start with, and you stood up there and spoke in front of a full cinema of people that night, answering questions, talking so authentically and real about this film, this intention. And I was actually really proud to see you up there as a friend, and just you were in the flow. You were in complete flow. And I can't wait for people to see the film. But that's where I wanted to start with you today, Lee. And how did it feel, mate, that evening, coming up to the evening? Everything, really.
Well, that is one hell of a loaded question. I'll start with the evening because it's more of a positive structure. The evening, do you know when things are just working and you're not thinking about them because you've got something to achieve? At that point, it's bigger than me. There's 300 people there in that room. They're all my cast, they're all my crew, they're all essentially the studio when Andy's Man Club were there because they paid for the film. So that's the crunch moment in any filmmaker's life when everyone's sat to see the work that they've spent so long trying to achieve. Now, for me, I felt for the first time as a creative a shared responsibility of the film because so many people were involved. Wasn't just relied on my shoulders. The pressure wasn't fully on me, although I felt it. So it kind of allowed me to chill a little bit, but I still had a job to do. I still had to get the film transferred onto that. Onto the projector. We had to test it out. There were moments where, should we go even wider? There were a lot of questions throughout the day. And through that whole week, I'd been like preparing for that. And then all the people started piling in. And I just didn't think, what I tried to do was just remove myself from that moment and think, we're just putting a film on here. But then when everybody was sat there, I picked my seats at the back because I want the opportunity to walk out. I want the opportunity to be able to get up and walk out. And my problem is, if I sit further down in the audience, I can't turn around because I feel like people are watching me watching my film. Oh, is Lee enjoying his film? Or, oh, this is a bit like Lee likes. Or, and I never wanted to make it about myself anyway. So I wanted to sit at the back. But because so many people came, everyone just started taking these seats. So I started getting really anxious at that point. I'm like, where am I going to sit? I don't want to be further down because if I want to get up and walk out, I don't want them to think that I don't like my own film. Can you tell I'm an overthinker, by the way? Like, this is absolutely like my daily. This is just me trying to get out of a house in the morning. This is how difficult it is.
The mind of a creative, though.
I think so. It's a tortured mind of a creative, but I think we've got to kind of torture ourselves in that way to find the truth in creativity in a lot of ways. So as I ended up sitting further down and the film started, and there were certain things before the film started, I stood up and said to people, this isn't a complete package here. This is me understanding whether this works as a film, because it's such a different way of making a film. It's a different concept. It's a different idea. Does it work as a film? You know, does it just work for the charity? That's okay, that the film just works for the charity and works within the realms of the charity or people that understand what the charity is. But as a film festival worldwide, human connection, does it actually work? And that's what I was testing that night. So I stood up and said to people, it's no way finished. If you see a mistake, guaranteed I've seen it. Like, don't worry, you don't need to tell me. I'll be on it. And also the scores getting changed, and there were a couple of bits that I knew that weren't right. I didn't even put the credits on the end. I even said to people, for all those that are expecting to see their name at the end with the credits, we don't have any credits, because it grew that big that I forgot who were actually involved, because we just kept on getting people on board as we went.
How long did the project take?
A year altogether.
Right.
A year from creation from birth to creation, really. But probably all my life in that way. Like, it's always been a goal of mine to tell a story this way, to try to tell somebody a story that they might have heard but in a different way, to, I don't know, get deeper into somebody. So I stood up there and then introduced the film, and I felt great. You know, I like being on stage. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of where I'm actually better on stage, because I don't have a single eye to look at. When there's a lot of people, I don't have to fixate on somebody. So then I'm a lot more confident because I can just talk over heads.
Wow, interesting concept, that, isn't it?
I'm actually way better at it, because there's nobody. It's just a room full of people, and also it's a tone. I can if in that cinema there was a certain tone in that cinema, and as soon as I tapped into that tone, then I'm just talking to a tone.
That used to be my worst nightmare.
Yeah,
I hated it.
Scary.
Yeah.
What were your fears about it though? What?
Just tongue-tied and just not being able to articulate the points, shaky voice, just discomfort. You know what I mean? Just genuine discomfort in the moment. But
that shaky voice when it feels like it's rattling here, and then you almost believe that they can hear it a million times worse than what you can hear it in your head. And people do pick up on that, but all that does is change the tone in the room to them. And you realise that those people are more concerned about you, you, not actually going, oh, look at him, he doesn't know how to talk. They get that in their chest. Then all of a sudden everybody's feeling that same way.
Give off an anxious response, don't you? And everybody else in the room gets
it. And they're like, oh no, but then they're all willing for you to do better.
Yeah.
So then if you can switch it after that, then they go, oh, he's done right, good as lad. Then it's more of a benefit, really, in the end.
Yeah, fair play. It's a fair skill, though. If
Yeah,
you feel comfortable there.
I think it's just something that I always thought I was an extrovert as a child, but I'm massively introvert. Obviously undiagnosed ADHD when I was younger, but I used to bounce around everywhere. But standing on the stage, like, I just felt, I don't know, it just was freeing for me, a lot freeing. And I forced myself to do those things because I wanted to play these characters. And because I forced myself into it, I think I just forced myself into being confident in that place. But it does bleed a lot into the film set. I'm very confident on set. Anyway, I digress. So the film came on and I sat down and I'm halfway down this aisle and I'm watching it and there's a few syncing issues. Now, a little syncing issue on a film to somebody probably doesn't even matter. They probably might be used to it with a little bit of lagging from the Netflix or whatever. For me, it's world ending at that moment. Yeah. So I'm just thinking what people are thinking, not enjoying the film. And all I wanted to be there for was to see if it worked as a tone. So about 10 minutes into it, I just stood up and walked out, went outside, just got some fresh air. And then I came back, I kept on coming in through bits that I knew. I mean, remember, I'd spent 600 hours editing this project. So there's certain things that I cannot sit through because I will bang my head against the wall. It's like I've heard this a million times. So I'd kind of remove myself out. And then at the end, I just sat by the doors at the top of the steps on the floor with a gin and tonic, just watching in parts. And some people were like looking at me, they could see me sat there. And then when the film finished, it just erupted. It was, I do something quite clever in the film. I give people, there's about 15 to 20 seconds at the end, just reflection time. And in that reflection time is when I was really hoping to feel what the audience were feeling. I did the same test with my mum and her best friend, and I felt it there with two people, and I just need to take what they experienced to 300 people. And within this 20 seconds, I could hear gulps from the other side of the cinema. And some people told me afterwards, my producer, Ben Sweet, said he could hear his head rattling, although there were no sound. It's like the silence was louder than anything. And people were trying to hold back tears, which I found really odd. I thought that it'd allow them to break at that point. And then when the credits came up, I expected them to start clapping at that point, but they didn't. They watched all of the BTS photos, and they were really like watching. They still continued the credits as a film, and which was lovely. And then I put like a little cameo at the end from Cameo, a little BTS blooper.
Chris Kamara, by the way.
Chris Kamara.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Made an appearance.
Appearance. And I put his little blooper in, and it's really funny, and it really needed that tone. It needed that uplifting vibe. And then everyone just erupted at laughter at that bit. And then they started clapping, and then they started standing up. And I'm sat at the back, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool. And then they're all standing up, and I'm like clapping with them. And I see them looking at me, and I'm like, okay, so I stand up to clap as well. So I'm just still clapping. And I realised they all want me to go back down at front of the stage. And so I did, and then they were cheering, and I thought, right, don't bring too much attention to myself here. And then I saw my lead actor, Phil. And he was cuddling his family and he had tears in his eyes. So I ran over and cuddled him, but by cuddling him, everybody was going, oh, and I'm like, I'm drawing more attention to myself. But it really was a special moment. It was.
Where did Al come into this cuddle? Because Al's not shy of a cuddle.
Oh no, so you were there straight afterward. Yeah.
I was sat next to Luke, and I was just cuddling him and Alfie.
Yeah, Alfie. Wow.
Luke's son.
Well, that's very heavy, innit?
Yeah, I sat in the epicenter of the story.
Let's go back to this story then, just to give the listeners some insight into exactly what we're talking about. If anybody doesn't know about Andy's Man Club, can you just take us through a bit of a brief of the start and
of course. So 9 years ago, a young man at age 23, Andy Roberts, took his own life. It was absolutely devastating, and his sister's married to Luke Ambler, and they have Alfie,
who Alex was sat next to.
Who Alex was sat next to. So it started off initially from they told Alfie that he'd lost his favourite uncle, and I think he was 9 at the time, was he?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I don't think we were younger than that, about 6 or something. We were young.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him, and he just let out this scream, and it haunted Luke Ambler to the core, and he just wanted to stop any other families going through what they've had to go through. So he just wanted a safe space for men to talk. He was like, it's all right saying men should open up, but where do they realistically have that place to do so? And he was going to call it like the Andy's Coffee Club, and there were loads of names that went round. So they landed on Andy's Man Club, so it felt like you could just say, I'm off round to Andy's on Monday to your family, so you didn't have to tell them you were going to a mental health club. Although now everybody wears that as a badge, you know.
Right as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this 20, what is that? 2015, 2016 it started.
Stigma.
Yeah, and it's not even that long ago. You know what I mean? Like when I think about this, I'm thinking that I'm in early 2000s, but no, we're not. We're in mid ones. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. So they just started it off, and he just was like, started off the slogan, "It's okay to talk." Ricky Gervais picked that up. It started with 9 guys sat in a circle in Halifax. 9 years ago, and now there's 6,500 men that go through those groups, 320 odd groups around the country. There's 6 groups in Scotland as far down as Plymouth, breaking into London at the moment. Started to get some in Wales. I think it's 3 or 4 open in Wales. Spreading, but it's the awareness that's spreading as well. And if you look at the figures, we kind of like drop 400 each week, but gain 600, drop constantly. And I think the ones that we're dropping, in my head, I'm like, these are the people that are taking these questions that are there on the Monday night. They're taking them home with a family, or we're solving it for them. They now know how to converse, to talk, what questions to ask, how to be transparent, how to be self-aware. And I think, hopefully the whole idea is that these groups don't exist. We'd love to close it, and that's the aim, to close them. That nobody needs them anymore, that men's suicide rates are all-time low, and that we all talk and converse. But we've still got a long way to go about that, obviously, but I do feel like we're getting there.
Yeah. And fair play for putting together what you've done as well. We first connected 2 years ago exactly.
Yeah.
We went to Barcelona.
We did.
That was some trip,
good times.
Great trip. And just to vouch for your creativity and your work as well, absolutely outstanding. So
thank you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah.
Do we have a date where it's officially out?
Yeah, so next year I'm going to send it to all the festivals. Like that proved to me that premiere. No, it was a screening preview, if you will. That preview really proved to me that it did work as a film, and that fundamentally it's a film about talking, and you don't really need a specific charity around you in order to do that. But it also stems back to what Luke first said. He said, even if you open up your own group and call it something different, do it. Like, just we're not trying to keep people, we just want to help people. So I kind of stuck with that with the film. I don't actually show the group in the film at all. I never show a group setting. It's all from the outside. It's called That One Man, which is their original slogan, to find that one man. So I didn't want to base one man in a group. I wanted that one man to exist on the outskirts like we all do. And we understand what that charity is by the means that the charity advertises, by beer mats or posters or cars driving past or wristbands, and those little nuggets of information that builds trust in a man towards a charity, where they go, you know what, I'm going to go there. I didn't want to show a group because I didn't want me to be in a group one time down the line, or a man to walk into a group and think, I hope that filmmaker's not in here ready to make a film about me. I wanted to keep that sacred and very, very safe for those people to go in, where they feel like they're not going to have their stories turned. So I was really keen on doing that, but also it kind of leaves an air of mystery. And it leaves that air of mystery for people that might want to set their own groups up, so it doesn't have to be solidly about that. So I'm very, very keen on that. So next year, I want to send it to film festivals. The first opening festival of next year is Cannes Film Festival. That'll be the first one that I submit it to. And then from there, we'll just do whatever festival comes our way. But the big news is that we're going to be with Andy's Man Club, we're going to do an exclusive screening all around the country for the 10-year anniversary, and try to get every single facilitator, and these are the guys that open those doors every week, come off their own back. They open the doors, they help those guys, they ask those questions, they support people. It's really difficult to give 2,500 people something, so we're going to try and get them all to their own version of a film premiere, and everybody watch it around the country at the same time. So we're getting in touch with like a chain of cinemas or independent cinemas to make that happen. Then from there, probably video on demand, probably. Once you go through the festivals, you'll meet distributors and so on and so forth. We have got a couple of special screenings coming up where we do have some names coming to watch it in the streaming world. So it's all just, it depends if it works, They might watch it and go, yeah, it works for the charity, but it didn't really work as a film. We still don't fully know yet, because the concept's so different. Nobody has ever made a film about a charity where the charity is at the living core of the film. They're always overlooked or they're brushed by, and I think any therapy in film is always one-on-one therapy, or if you go into like the alcoholism, then maybe it's a group setting, because that's what we are all used to seeing, a group setting, people in a circle. For alcohol therapy, we're used to somebody sitting in front of somebody laying on a sofa. That's what our minds are used to. So that, to me, is just the only therapy that actually exists through film. I wanted to really show why can't like I don't know, like Macmillan's like make a film about somebody struggling with cancer and show the real lives of that struggle and what they have to go through and the process that they have to go through.
It just becomes more, it's more than just a film then. There's great stories that exist out there for me, but that evening for me, it's something, it's a message, in it. It's an overall message. It's not a made up story with no intention behind it. It is something much bigger, and that's why I honestly, Lee, I believe that film will go. There's no real bounds to how big that film could go, because it should go fucking everywhere. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
I'd love for that to happen, and it is a narrative piece of storytelling. I wanted to do that. I wanted to make it gritty. I wanted to make it northern. I wanted to have a narrative structure to it, because it deserved it. But all the stories, everything in there are from the people that I've met, from the hundreds of men that I'd met from working with Andy's Man Club for a year and a half. Finding like seeds of things that connect and so on, and like, that story reminds me of that story. So I'd build them all in. And even when I spoke, my first meeting was with Phil H. Pearson, who's my main character, and he told me this story about him working in a bar and this guy, and I kind of wove these stories through it. And then when we were actually shooting it, he turned around and went, "Is that about my mate?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, you managed to wind that into that really well." And I was like, "Yeah, take what is the essence of a man or your struggle and try to feed it through." But it was a combination of everyone's story. That's why it was so important to get it right in a way. But the thing that made it happen mainly for me is the actors, the way that they attacked those roles.
They were great.
They were so good. And I've been having conversations with some people like, we don't like using actors for this because it needs to be about this. And I'm like, but you're not listening. You're seeing an actor as just a 2D person. Like, every actor that I had involved in my film had been through mental health struggles. So I wasn't asking them to act, essentially. I was asking them to play a character, but then bring their own struggles to the table. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I forgot about that.
It's important.
Afterwards, when you had like the Q&A with the actors, you got the actors on stage, didn't you? Q&A. And Phil, he's obviously had his story about his mate, which were close and connected. He was great, by the way.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And then the lady behind the bar.
Yeah.
And she had a really close connection with the charity, didn't she? So.
Massively. Well, I've known Nikki Helens for 20 odd years. She used to teach me at college dancing, which I feel really sorry for her. I do not dance. And we've just always been close, and I've always put her in my films. I've always chose Nikki Helens because she's just a very powerful woman, and And I'm better at writing women characters. I've always have been. I'm better at, and I'll tell you what, and I figured this out for the Anders Man Club film because I found it really difficult writing for men. And in the end up, I realised that it's because men don't talk.
Yeah.
So I can write women's characters and dialogue really well because they express. So then when it came to writing the Anders Man Club film, like, I've got to write loads of men characters here, but I kind of then took the idea that they don't talk and maybe what if they were supposed to talk or trying to talk or on the verge of talking, and that's where I base most of my dialogue within. But yeah, I've known Nikki Hellens for so many years. We've done so many projects together, and her son took his own life not so long ago, which was he's so young, Connor, so young, and it was really difficult. And his best friend is Lucas, who's my manager and his Man Club. And Nikki Hellens and Connor was my kind of connection with Lucas and the team a little bit. It was like our connection. And then when he took his own life, we went to the funeral, and it was really difficult. And this is not so long ago. And when I was designing this film, Lucas was like, Nikki Hellens, and I'm like, of course she's in it, mate. She's my rock in it. But I had to, I was like, I sent her a message and we talked, and I said, you don't have to do this. But there was no doubt in her mind. She had to do it. And she was the strongest person on set
she was unbelievable.
I've never seen strength like it. And I'd always look to her for the inspiration, because I was like, you just always got it together. She always had it together. She always had a smile on her face. She always knew what was going on. And I looked to her and I thought, she can do it, then I've got no complaints. Do you know what I mean? I should be able to do this.
What a woman.
Incredible.
Yeah, honestly, it made it more. I didn't know that until after watching it. And then you look back at the part that she plays, and she's playing this motherly type character.
Yeah.
Concerned for a lad that's having struggles.
Yeah.
That just adds so many
spine chilling, that,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And she was unbelievable.
It was so difficult. There was some bits that I were constantly developing. There's one part in it that I used a couple of extra writers with me to really kind of work a scene out, and it was one of the only things that I'd kind of created from my own personal experience, or something that I wish would happen moving forward. I won't go on and spoil it, but there were bits where we'd figured something out, and I'm like, oh, can you give this bit of dialogue in this scene to this person? And we had a really working relationship where I was a director and a writer, and she was an actor, and I just felt, looking back, I'm like, I wish I'd have tried to push her to say stuff. Oh, can we do it like this, do it like that? But she just it didn't even faze her. She knew what the message had to be. She knew that this was hopefully going to help anybody else in her situation, or not to get to that situation. So the overriding power, again, when it's bigger than you, it becomes the soul in a way.
And shout out to Luke, because none of this would have happened. And if you think about the ripple effect, and not just being a victim of a tragedy, and actually using it to
create good
in the end.
Brilliant,
unbelievable. Like what that lady's just done there, what you just said, but fitting all those pieces together. We've had Luke on the show as well, haven't we? And
twice now.
Yeah.
He's a good talker, is Luke. Really good talker.
He's a legend of a bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, really is. He's one of these people that can manage to not over-attach emotion to what he's saying, and that keeps him clarity. It gives him... I'm quite an emotional person. If you start talking about something, I'll because I'm emotionally laid that in a way. But he can manage to manage those really, really well. He's a very clever guy, and the fact that he's never looked for government funding. We have zero red tape at Anders Man Club. This is why I could make a film, because there is no red tape. There's no people at the other side going, no, you can't do that, you can't do this. We could literally do what we want in that sense. So when I said I want to make a film, he was like, let's do it.
And that's the freedom, isn't it? And obviously the ripple effect of what hopefully that can do, and if it can touch people and change somebody's mind and the perspective of where they're at in that moment,
that's it.
It's massively important.
Well, I just wanted the film to cut out the 6 months of should I, shouldn't I, for a man. And I'd seen it first hand at these stalls when we're handing out wristbands, and the man and his wife would kind of walk over and he'd kind of move her away and she'd look. Then a few minutes later she'd come back, get a wristband. So then she was going to go home and maybe put that wristband on a table or a poster up or whatever. She had a plan of how she was going to introduce that to a fella to try getting through them doors. And that can take a long time, and I tried to encapsulate that whole in 1.5 hours, so they understood exactly what Andy's Man Club were. They knew what the information was out there, they knew the kind of people that went, and they knew the benefits of it within 1.5 hours. So then they'd walk out going, oh, I might go next week. They still might turn up and not go in for the first couple of weeks, that's fine. They might go in and not talk for a year, doesn't matter, as long as they're there sat down listening to people. So I was just trying to break that barrier and make it a lot faster and more accessible. And then I also wanted to create a film that would raise money for a charity. And I wanted to create a platform for people that can't walk up a mountain or can't bike ride, that can't bake, or that have mobility issues or anything, that's sat at home that want to give to charity but don't know how to. Then watch a film and pay for a film, watch it, donate into charity. So there's all these avenues really that could benefit in a lot of ways.
And go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
I was just going to say, like, you captured sort of everyone's character within the film. So, like, you've got the partners, you've got people that are standing from a distance, people that are considering whether they should go into a club or not, on the outskirts. Every character within a normal life setting is captured, and that's why it's going to be really relatable to everyone.
Yeah.
And there was one guy in particular, Reg.
Yeah, it's my golden guy.
Not going to spoil the film, by the way.
No, I get it.
But let's just say he represented the older generation.
Yeah, he did.
That were kind of dropping hints that he was struggling, but no one heard it.
There's another older guy in that as well, played by Chris Chittle as well from Emmerdale, Eric Pollard, and he was like an extended version of him, a little bit older, and the one that's totally against it.
Yeah.
I kind of had this idea that once the film's out, is there's so many men, and there's so many men that are a different version of a man in that film, that I kind of wanted to go, which man are you? Like, are you the guy that's a little bit feeling like a little bit older and detached from it? Are you the guy that's hanging around the clubs on a Monday night but don't go in? Are you the guy that's totally shut off from it, but there's a little, and I wanted to put every man in there. There's a scene where these guys are just totally against it, they're not there yet. And they're not necessarily bad guys, they're just not ready to accept, they're not aware enough yet that they might be struggling.
Well, that's real.
Needed to be in there. The amount of times that, I've been to, we've gone to a conference for Andy's Man Club, and he's like Andy's Big Boy Club written on the door, from the staff of these places, because, Big Boys Club, or Andy's Cry Your Eyes Out Club, or, all that jazz, all that negative bollocks.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that in.
We're so bad at that, aren't we, in the UK?
Yeah.
I think other countries are a lot more sensitive.
So much more sensitive. So they talk, what's our slogan? Keep calm, carry on. It's not keep calm, talk about it, or keep calm. Yeah. And we're all walking around thinking that's a great, look at us, we just keep calm and carry on, look how cool we are. Yeah. No, we're not talking, we're just, like, say, pushing it under the rug.
I've said this one before on this show, but it's terrible advice, and it's, you've made your bed, you lie in it. I hate that one. Sucks that.
It really does.
That's so shit, isn't it?
It's so bad.
What do you mean? I don't know.
The leopard never changes its spots and all that jazz. Like, it's this idea of, if you are that, if you've shown that's what kind of a person you are, then that's who you are going to be. But maybe we show different versions of ourselves to figure out who that person is. Do you know what I mean?
It's very fixed. It's a fixed approach.
That is the word, isn't it? Fixed.
It is, and I think that's this mentality. But that's what that's kind of how they want us to think that way, just to fix and carry on. Like, don't question it, maybe.
Absolutely.
It's a connection tool as well, isn't it? I think we have been getting more disconnected, all the time in many different ways. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I think it's something that we ultimately crave as humans, and we have to reconnect with other people. And again, this is why we do what we do with the podcast, with the saunas, that environment that creates conversation and connection. You can meet a stranger and walk out a bit of a mate in a 20-minute sauna session, and it's like, you know, because it's breeding like-minded people, and these are the conversations that we want to keep pushing.
It's just a sense of community, you know. When I was younger and I grew up in the 90s at school, you had your certain set of different groups of people, you know. If we go back, you had your moshers, you know, your rockers, your chavs, or, you know, your geeks, or whatever we all were. I was kind of a mixture of all of them. I just wore jeans and a shirt and just kind of hung around with them all.
Adaptable.
Adaptable, yeah. But we had a sense of community. We knew that those people liked our kind of music. That if we wanted to dye our hair colour that way, that this person was going to take the piss out of us, and we had a strength in unity. And then with globalisation and the internet, then all of a sudden we are all, this community is too big. We can now talk to a person on the other side of the world inside, and then now the music's all changed, so it's all generally the kind of same, and we're all looking the same, and it's like, well, where's our group, where's our tribe, where are our people? And when Andy's Man Club came along, and let's sit in a circle and talk like men, that became a community for some guys, and something that had been lacking for many years, in my opinion. And I think we're just constantly searching for that. Like I say about the saunas, I went to the Turkish baths the other week in Harrogate. I ended up talking to like 5 different groups of people. You know, I booked a hotel that night to have some self-care, and ended up going back to a house party from some of the guys, you know, from this bar and stuff, because I was just making friends. I love making friends.
You are that kind of guy.
I love it. Solo dates, mate, I love them.
I love that though.
Yeah, it's just
you
fun.
did it in Barcelona.
It's off in Barcelona.
I did in Barcelona, yeah, just meeting people.
Where have you been, Lee?
Oh, I've been up to a mountain.
Yeah,
Top of a mountain
That's
somewhere?
Making friends.
That's so funny you said, because Barcelona, I still wasn't. I'd go into bars and I'd still sit there in the corner and have my drink and just look at these communities, you know. But since I've made a film, I'm going to go and chat to those people. I just go and talk a lot more. I'm a lot more confident.
That's brilliant.
Loads more. I think
that.
As a direct result of
a direct result of the film.
Ah, brilliant.
I've struggled my entire life with confidence, with everything. I don't think any of my work has ever been good in a lot of ways. I'll finish a project and try. Everyone says you move on from a project fast. It's like I'm just trying to run away from that project because I don't feel like it was good enough. It wasn't good enough, you know, and I've always pulled myself up on that. And then I made this film, and it was the first time I laid on my bed and cried like for an hour when I'd finished it. I was like, I've done the one thing that I never thought I would ever be able to do, which is make a full-length feature film. And then since that day, my life changed quite dramatically. I was a lot more just confident. I think just happy, like that I'd managed to do what I perceived as the impossible. You know, I grew up. Yeah, well, I grew up like wanting to tell stories. I was addicted to telling stories. I wrote a lot of theatre when I was younger, but I loved film. I just sit in front of a film. And now for me, I ADHD when I was younger, but I didn't run around. Mine was ruminating thoughts. I'd bam, 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 bam. And I always knew the definite definition of good and bad. I hated being bad. Hated the idea of getting bollocked. Hated it. So the idea for me, if I could sit in front of a film for 2 hours, I'm good. A good kid sits in front of a film and doesn't talk. So that was my escape. That was where I was able to be a good person, by sitting there watching a film. But I just repeat them. So I learned all the lines and next one until blah, 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 like quite autistically. Then when it was 1993 when Jurassic Park came out, and I went to watch Jurassic Park and it blew my mind.
Great film.
And there was a TV special like, this is how we made this film. Now, there were never anything like that in my days, like how to make films. It was the first BTS thing I'd ever seen. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a watch. And there's thousands of people, green screens, CGI, these massive cameras. And I was just like, I can't even work the toaster, you know. I'm not going to be able to do this. Filmmaking is not for me. That's too far removed. But I still wanted to tell stories. So that's when I moved into theatre. Then as I got older and I started dipping into film and realised that, you know, it was a bad example, me watching the BTS of Jurassic Park. If I'd have done a different film where it was more about human connection, it'd have been less people, less CGI and so on, then I might have gone, oh, this is what I'll do.
So the stars aligned.
So the stars aligned, yeah. And, you know, I learned how to do everything. I learned how to... I've always known how to write, but obviously developed that. I was always in my 20s hoping to be in my 40s. It's very random. I was like, I can't wait till I'm in my 40s just to see what I can write, because I didn't feel intelligent in my 20s. So I was just like, oh, I've got in my 40s, and now here I am at 43 and I've made a film. So maybe if I'd have said 30s, I'd have been in my 30s and made a film. You don't know, do you?
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the public speaking thing, it was that theme of not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of
Yeah.
internal dialogue. And,
It's damaging, isn't it? It's a strong voice, that.
So big.
I think
That's
it's
why I'm so passionate
Yeah.
about talking about it, because
Yeah.
we all can overcome.
We can, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's there for the taking, really. But you've just got to be there yourself, really. You've got to be there to take it.
Strange how you've manifested that, you know. And
It is strange, yeah. I've manifested quite a lot in that ways. I when I manifest, I don't like the word manifest. I don't like all these words anymore. They've all been taken totally out of context from me and overused.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
It's just
though,
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but we've got to
'cause-
say a word because it all means it. But
Yeah.
the feeling that you get, like If I want a BAFTA, like I want a BAFTA at some point in my life, it's my thing that I'm manifesting the most.
Yeah.
I don't manifest stood up there with a BAFTA with my speech. I don't write my speech. I don't sit there and go imagine it on my mantelpiece. I don't do any of that. I just sit at the BAFTAs and I feel the chair and the fibres on the chair. I can smell the girl in front of me. I can smell her hair. I can feel what the air around the BAFTAs feels like, the particles in the air. So I manifest the smallest details, because you notice you can always, you know how something feels in your fingertips, don't you? How do you know that? If you think now, what does a brick wall feel like? You can feel it, can't you? Or you can feel a carpet, or you can feel a squeaky surface. How do we do that? Like, it's because we can actually put ourselves there. And those are the things that I think you really need to get into. Those are the details. That's when the manifestation comes.
that's deep.
Lee,
Yeah, man.
get the fuck out.
Jeez. I think we need to wrap it up there.
Fucking stop
I'm
it.
going to fall over.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is like, that's so.
That is the mind of a creative, isn't it?
Yeah. That's,
It's one of
that's
those-
proper manifestation.
I think
you know.
all these ideas of all these things that we talk about, I just take tiny bits out of each one and create my own, and I believe that's what they're there for. You know, I listen to Matthew McConaughey, I've listened to
Brilliant.
Wim Hof, and I take little bits out of everything and then just try to find the core of what they're actually talking about. And all it is just believing in your goddamn self. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And putting yourself as the main character of your film, because everybody else is. You know.
Yeah.
We're not going to be sat in a restaurant and somebody's going to stand up and they're in love, and then we've got to sing all about them like on a musical, and then we just dance and sing to their song, and then they bugger off to go have sex, and then we've just got to finish the meal off. That's probably now gone cold. If you ever think about that when you're watching a musical, what are these guys actually doing in the background? They're not the centre of their... So that person just believes that all these people are around them are just there to feed their storyline, but really we're all in our own storylines in our heads. So
Do you think this perfect storm has been created as well because of the theme of what it is? And does that massively speak to you and your journey as a person and the things that you've been through? And
massively.
do you think that's why you invested so much and believed it so much?
When I first started writing, I was around probably about 18, 19, and I wrote a play, a one-man show, because I was getting parts at college and I was doing quite well, but they were like Shakespeare or Jesus Christ Superstar or things like this. And I could give something to them, but I really wanted to, I just always had this need to stand on stage and tell people the truth about something, or a heightened truth about it. So I wrote a poem about a guy that was taking loads of drugs, and then his friend died in the bathroom next to him. It's called Behind the Door. And it was really emotional. And my tutor came up to me afterwards and he was just like, that was really, really good. He was like, you should carry on writing. So then I remembered that when I was 15, we had a travelling theatre company come round to our school, and they did, where they talk about sex and stuff, but they used this giant shoe as a metaphor for sex, and me and my mates had no fucking idea what they were talking about. So I was like, why don't they just say sex? Why are they using so the idea that when I was younger, the adults in the world were so far removed from what we actually thought, and that really annoyed me. So when I started writing, I used to go to schools and I'd write plays about teenage pregnancy, bullying, drugs, and try to make people aware of these things. And most of my time was spent arguing with the teachers. I'd have 50% of the teachers saying, oh, you should put this on, this would be great for the students. And I had 50% of the teachers saying, no, you can't put this on, this is going to disturb the children. So I always lived in this middle area where people were just arguing around me whether they wanted me to stand on stage and help these kids or not. And they were always brought up really good points, like the teenage pregnancy. What if there's a girl in this audience that has decided to have an abortion and I put this play on and that changes her mind? So there were certain things that I was like, yeah, I understand, but then if she doesn't have the full story, how does she make a proper narrative judgment? So I was just always obsessed by going, well, this is the real story, but I'm going to tell it you in a northern gritty way. I did plays about racism and toured around with Dale Lawrence's mum. Dale Lawrence was the lad that got stabbed in London years ago.
All right, yeah.
In Elephant and Castle.
Yeah.
Stephen Lawrence.
Stephen Lawrence.
Stephen. Sorry, I got his name wrong. Yeah, Stephen Lawrence. His mum came around and I wrote a piece on racism and I toured that around schools and universities. I just really wanted to tell the truth, but in that kind of way. And, by telling other people's stories, I was always avoiding my own, probably when I was younger. Like, what really makes me tick? What are my problems, But mainly mine were just undiagnosed ADHD. The first drug that I ever tried was speed when I was about 17. But if you look at medication for ADHD nowadays, it's amphetamine. So my first drug I ever had actually rewired my brain and made me fucking normal. So my first experience with drugs was like, all right, well, I'm absolutely normal on this. This is good. I'll take more of this. So I didn't know. Like, I thought that was me being off my head, but I was actually wired right at that point. Mad. So then I got into self-medicate. We would call it self-medicating. I was a little druggy when I was younger.
Let's call it that.
Yeah, self-medicating. Just bouncing off the walls, not knowing where I fit. And most of my mental health issues were just a stem of that, of not being able to deal with myself. Probably a lot of guilt. I was brought up very well. My parents were very loving. They told me not to do drugs. They told me to stay away from this. And I believed them for a while until it just got a little bit messy in my head. And I wanted to be popular, I was a bit quiet at school, and then I ended up being best mates with one of the hardest lads in the school. And this is the riding school. This is 90s in the riding school, which was a school from hell, getting closed down. There were news reporters. It was mental. It was really, really tough. Just fighting all the time, and it was quite a scary place to be. So I became best mates with one of the hardest lads in school, and
Good choice.
And then I became popular, and it was really, really strange. So I just spent most of my life, but even through all my self-medication days, I was always trying to better myself, writing plays, taking them to Edinburgh Fringe. I got a play that I wrote into the National Student Drama Festival when, that was 2008. So I'd always, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't regret a goddamn thing. I will never regret anything in my life. I don't want to live in a world of regret, even if I do regret it, I don't regret it. Can you understand what I mean by that? It's like, that was a mistake, but thank you for that mistake.
It shapes the path.
I've shed that skin off that. What's next? And that I'm gonna learn something from that. So nothing's a mistake. So therefore, I can't regret that because it wasn't a mistake. So therefore, I can't regret anything. So it's a rule of mine not to.
It's like I heard someone talking about this sort of, Slumdog Millionaire, the film. Mm-hmm. So obviously, it's like life is like a jigsaw, but you can only work it out in reverse.
Yeah.
And it makes sense only in reverse.
Yeah.
So he gets to the final show. Lo and behold, he thinks he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
But all the questions that were asked took him back to a moment in his life where he had the answer.
I love that. It's such a great concept for a film. It was so good, yeah. It's so true as well. I can, like, even I was a waiter for 20 years. Why was I a waiter? Well, it gave me really good balance in my hands. My hands are really strong, so I can hold a camera really well. I can focus really well. I can move I can keep still very well. It all built my confidence up for talking to people and knowing how to interview people in my career. So everything that I've ever done is just a tick or a benefit to what I'm doing now. Might not be, but I choose to think that. I choose to think that built my hands up, that this did that did that. And that makes me then not regret. So then it's all still a choice, But who am I hurting by doing that? No one. If anything, I'm benefiting myself.
Definitely.
Do you think you're living to your truest self right now?
Probably not.
Can I just say something? You're different from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I asked. I think we go on this journey and eventually we end up just being completely who we are and living your truest sort of.
I'm on the road to that.
Redefined.
Yeah, I think with my neurodiversity, if I say I've completed it, that's fucking dangerous. So I think I'll always be on the search for it, and I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
because it constantly.
We always have to feel like that as humans. So. You can't get too big for your boots.
Can't complete it.
No.
Can't complete it. That's why I hate like when therapy. It's like, oh, you've completed therapy now. What do you mean? Am I okay? You can't say that to me. I've completed maybe this part or your version of this therapy. Yeah, I might have completed, but there's a lot more that I have to discover. I think this idea of like, what is success to you? And one of my old clients was like, what is success to you? And I was like, well, maybe getting a BAFTA. And he went, it's validation though, isn't it? I went, all right, yeah. It's like a really good review, and it's like validation. It's like, so maybe, we kept on talking about it, and I always kept on coming up with these things that was just literally validation, that somebody knows that I can do what I want to do. That someone's gone, tick, you good at that, Lee, because at school I was shit at everything. I couldn't do things. I couldn't even write. I couldn't spell. I couldn't do anything. I just ignored school. For me at the time, I thought it was lucky that I grew up in a generation where if I just stay quiet at the back, that it just went over the teachers' heads. They were too busy looking after the kids that were twatting each other rather than me at the back not doing anything.
Staring out the window,
writing on my book, starting my book all neat, but by day 3 it's like scribbles and shit everywhere,
Same.
Cocks
honestly,
everywhere.
it's so really resonating with me.
Yeah, it's just and it's just like boom, 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 boom.
I tick a lot of boxes for ADHD.
Yeah,
undiagnosed, but I know that it's definitely been something that I've had to be aware of and manage better.
Yeah.
Strategies on how to live better, as in it's working for me.
Yeah.
I'm not just getting pulled from pillar to post, because that's another one, isn't it? You can get pulled in so many different directions.
So many directions, yeah.
So you've got to be disciplined in making other decisions that work for you, don't you?
It's one of those things. I've found. Yeah, and also ADHD, this is all diagnose. I just know that I've got it, or I've got traits of it, If we think of like it all as one big spectrum, on this end of the spectrum, you've got your neurotypical people that don't even have a voice in their head when they read a book, to this point where a person's banging their head against the wall because they've got too many voices in their head. And somewhere within that spectrum, we all just kind of sit in a way. And I just didn't want to go, I need somebody's validation to tell me that this is what I've got, when I'm already on the path of dealing with these things. And even if I don't have ADHD, then all of the tricks for ADHD are actually just good ways of living. So even I worry for those people that rely on that diagnosis.
Can
and
you
it's like,
elaborate?
oh, you're not ADHD, and they go, oh, well, I can't do any of these things.
Can you elaborate on that? Good ways of living.
So
ADHD?
like structure, mate, just structure for yourself. Like, I am terrible without any form of structure. It only needs to be my own structure. Like, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and I'm going to do this, and this is my routine that I'm going to set for myself. It's not that hard for me to do, but I feel so much better once I've done it, and when I was younger, there was no structure in my life because I didn't place any. It was just all mayhem all the time. I worked in bars. I didn't even have a structure of when to eat. I've spent 20 years working in restaurants. I never ate in the morning because I started work at 11, and then I'd eat or pick at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then I'd be eating at 1, 2 in the morning after I finished work. So there was never any form of just structure in my life, or when I should sit down to eat, or when I should sit down to converse, or just absolute nightmare for me. And then overstimulants as well, like coffee. I was sat in my flat a couple of years ago, absolutely depressed, no work on, sat there with pounds of anxiety, and it took me months to realise that I'm drinking the same amount of coffee but not doing any work. So this is why this is going like this. And then once I started, oh my God, it went. I was like, well, what else is out there? So like, with the mushrooms and stuff like that, with lion's mane and stuff, like just introducing these little things. And if I didn't think I'd have had ADHD, then I would have convinced myself that none of this stuff was going to work. Do you know what I mean? And if some doctor would have gone, no, you don't have ADHD, then I'd have gone, well, why do I need all this stuff then? And then I'd probably still be suffering with ADHD worse.
And it'd have been more confusing.
Way more confusing, because I'm like, well, then I was just a weird kid then, because I got called a weird kid. I used to shake a lot. I had my hair long at one point, and I used to do this all the time, and then to cut my hair, and I'd still be doing this. And my parents, and my parents, and my parents were sat in front of the car and they'd look back and they'd go, "Is it yours?" And so my mum would be like, "No, it's not mine." And they're like, "Well, we're not letting you out of this, Carly, if you're shaking like that." And I'm like, "Oh, fine, thank you." And like, just that, I'd just sit and watch cartoons over and over again. My eating habits, I wouldn't eat anything round for a while. I only ate cereal up until the age of 8. I once had to have grommets put in my ears because they thought I was deaf. And there were these like little devices that they put in your ears to help your hearing. And then like a year later, they went back and went, "It's not worked." The doctor went, "I think he's just ignoring you." But I was just in my own little world,
Yeah.
But if I'd have got older, and then if some doctor had gone, "Oh no, you don't have ADHD," then I'd have gone, "Well, all my fears were right. Then I'm just fucking weird."
Do you still zone out?
Oh, massively. Brain fog, time blindness,
so bad for that.
zoning out. Yeah, I've just got to be very, very careful with what I take on. I've got to be careful when my creativity bites on a project. I'm done. I'm in that project, and there's no looking back. There's a couple of projects at the moment that have been brought to me where I really, really like, but if I go full in, then you've got me for life, and that's it. It's going to be done. But I've got to see that project through. At that point, it becomes an obsession of mine. You understand? It's really, so I know in my head that I can, if I like a project, I'm like, I like that, but I'm going to be honest with you, I can't read that yet because otherwise I'm going to be all over it. So I'm just going to let this go. So those little tricks.
It's a superpower.
Massively.
It can be a superpower if used correctly. And people often talk about a lot of the negative sides to these sort of conditions, shall we call them, but used correctly, these things can be superpowers. Autism, ADHD.
Massively.
And when you say autism and ADHD, it's a negative connotation straight away. But
you used to. I think it's starting though.
It's a different way of thinking. That's all it is.
It's a different way of learning.
It's a different way of learning.
Everything.
I didn't start learning until I'd way left school.
Same.
School did nothing for me.
Yeah.
Same. Nothing at all.
I learned.
Taught me how to fear.
You had to unlearn school.
I learned at primary school, your basic stuff like you do. But then after that, I didn't get any more intelligent from primary school all the way through.
No.
And I left feeling quite hopeless, to be honest. And I know there's a lot of other kids that feel that way too. There
really is. I think this is obviously more of our days. Like nowadays, like ADHD and autism is recognised, and people, it is a lot better. Even universities now have understanding, and I think the world is getting better. So any of those people thinking that education's like shouldn't do it, like definitely do it, because there are people there that understand and recognise these conditions. But when we were younger, it just wasn't. ADHD was just a bad kid. So then you'd avoid being. I don't have ADHD because I don't want to be a bad kid.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even a thing.
No, not really. No.
You're 43. I'm similar age.
Yeah,
so it's like it wasn't even mentioned. Nobody knew about this.
And I honestly can't. I can look around my classroom now, 30 odd years later, and go ADHD. Yeah. We should have all been like looked after in that way. But yeah, it is a superpower, and when I hyper focus on something, my record's like 27 hours straight editing without literally moving away from it. I can dive.
Monster.
I can go in. Yeah, mate. I can burn off.
Massive action though, isn't it?
Burn off. Yeah, I can boom, boom, boom. I can honestly. I absolutely love it, and I don't get bored. I thrive off it. But it's just when I crash. It's the crash for me.
Yeah.
Is understanding how and why I can crash. and putting things in place. And I didn't realise. I knew what crashing were of something negative, or like not getting a job, or not getting a client, or a film not doing as well as what I wanted it to. I'm going to be depressed for a little bit. I understand that. I can manage through. My problem was when I got too excited about something, and then I'd be crashing, but I'd be fighting against that crash because I'd be like, but I'm excited, so I need to carry on doing it. And that's where my main problems lied. So one time I'd shown...
where you doubt your work then, won't it? Because you're not doing a good job.
You're not doing a good job. So I once went to this client invited me over and was like, will you come over and show some of your films? And I'm like, yeah. So I came over with all my corporate and they went, no, show us your creative stuff. And I was like, what? Like, we want to see all your creative stuff. So I had all these people and I was showing them all my short films and they loved it and they were talking to me. And I walked out and my chest were pounding with excitement. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like a client just wanted to see my work, my films. And I got in car and I'm like, this is great. I'm going to call everyone. You know, when you call everyone, you're like, oh my God, fucking yeah. And they're like buzzing. And he said the exact same thing to the next person. And you ring the next person, you say the exact same thing to that person. And by the end of it, you're driving and you're absolutely knackered. And you go home and you go to bed and you relax it off. And then day after, you've crashed. Your ADHD's burnt, you're in burnout, but you're still, but I'm excited. But I love being a filmmaker. Yesterday I was loving it. Why do I hate it now? And then, it's because I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm going to pick that because that person you wouldn't have looked at it that way yesterday, but you are now in the crash.
Because you're tired.
You're tired. So what I do, and everyone, when I first started doing this, people thought I was robbing myself from excitement, but it isn't the same. Is I just breathe. I walk out and I process what's just happened.
Yeah.
Yes, Lee, that was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful, not exciting, not madness. It's beautiful that those people shared that moment with you in a calmer. And you know what? I'm going to call my dad in 20 minutes after I've processed this. I'm going to listen to my favourite song on repeat a few times first. Absorb it. Understand it, let it feel it in every fibre of your body, you know, like again, feeling the chair, feeling the smell in the hair, the smaller details of that. Then the crash doesn't happen. Well, can, but still.
That's just like emotional intelligence, though, isn't it?
I think so, awareness, yeah.
Dan, you can probably vouch. I get quite excited about things as well sometimes.
No, I've never seen that.
But I'm learning as well, mate. That's what I'm saying.
But you've changed though in the past 2 years as well. I think we all have, haven't we?
Yeah, massively.
It's beautiful.
I think that's a good thing to reflect on.
I do too.
You know, because some people think that you've changed. You know, like, you know,
yeah,
good,
yeah. I'm
good.
glad I have.
Should be celebrated.
The world's changed. If I'm not changing with it, then where do I stand?
Yeah. And I think we're becoming a lot more sophisticated. You know, we're talking about things like ADHD, mental health, Andy's Man Club, It's Okay to Talk. All this stuff, like, even 10 years ago, we've moved so fast. Yeah. And it's continuing to move even faster.
Oh, it's massive.
Now, because of AI and the way that the world's working now, we've got to keep up, haven't we? So...
Got to keep up, and I think, you know, everyone's so scared of AI, but if anything, I think it's pushing humans more together, where we're now fighting for what's genuine and what isn't genuine. I hate it going on like, and seeing uni lads saying something and it's all AI without putting AI on it, and it really it does wind me up. But at the end of the day, like, there's still humans out there. There's my group of friends that we're all trying to make films about humans and human connection and stuff, and you'll find that more groups like these filmmaking in small independent groups of people will start fighting for the actual true stories. You know, the reason why we set up the Innerverse as such, so the Innerverse is a more internal way of filmmaking, and me and Ben Sweet had set this kind of method of filmmaking up where it's not the Outerverse, not the multiverse, not the Marvel Cineworld verse. It's a cinematic universe for charities. That's a more internal way of telling stories where you actually, I don't know, just give a shit about people. So it's an Innerverse. So I actually put it into AI. Like, this is like, I want to do a new genre of filmmaking where you got these elements where it's charity, this, that and the other. And it came out with like 15 different words, and Innerverse just really stuck out to me. And one of our main legs for the Innerverse is that we use students. So Film Buddy that jumped on board with the film, they bridge the gap between university student leavers and, let's say, Netflix or their first job in the movie industry. So we get people on sets all around the country on Netflix shows and stuff for their first day on set. So they understand what the industry is properly like, and we help them with the CVs, one-on-one talks, all this jazz. And it's a really, we kind of set up in the same way as Andy's Man Club was set up, where Ben also saw that he wasn't happy with the current way things were moving, and there's no red tape, and he has no government funding. He just tries to help younger people get through. Now, for me, I've always worked in restaurants, so as I got older, most of my mates stayed around 20 years old because they all went to uni and then I stayed. So all my mates were always being younger. So I've seen every generation kind of grow up and move through. And I realised that the younger generation are actually a lot more switched on than what the older generation give them credit for. And
emotionally,
emotional and creatively as well, man. Bloody, they've been brought up with cameras. I were brought up with a camera. You know, I've had to learn and really hardly learn my trade with that. These ones were born with they probably had a Sony, my first camera when they were 3 or 4, you know, and learning how to use it and using technology and stuff. They're absolutely goddamn incredible. And like you say, the emotional side of it, they understand it way better than what most people my age do. So when we were doing this film, Ben said, should we use students? I was like, I want to give a group of students their first job in the movie industry. And we did. We gave like 5, this is like my first AD, my sound recordist, my makeup artist, like my entire crew pretty much were students that had just left university. Some of them were mature students, but most of them were young. And then we had 10 students every day from different universities that were coming on work placements, giving them then their first experience. But I'd open it up to them and say, what I'd give them respect. Like, and I think as soon as you give a young person respect, you'll get a better version. You'll get a version that you don't expect, and that is hardworking and really focused on the narrative. And all these young people just totally smashed it out of the park for me.
Totally agree with you.
Totally smashed it. And I will, moving forward, I only want to work with younger people within this industry.
Same.
I think I'm not going to go too much into it because I have a tendency to slag it off a bit too much. But the way that the Hollywood or the way that the film industry has worked before, where you go, stand there, do this, and I'm a creative and this is my vision, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't work for me. It might work for some people, it's not for me. I want open talking.
Cutthroat mentality.
Let's chat, man. You know, Liam said to me, he was like, how do you want me to deliver this line? I was like, but you're the actor. I was like, I wrote this, mate, but you've lived that character. You tell me how you would say that line. You know, this is a collaboration. You tell me what you feel about it. I can't tell you how to feel about something. Yeah. I can tell you, my job is to make sure the tone is translated and that my audience understands what the hell is going on in this film. That is my sole purpose. Everything else is your story brought into this. And even when it comes to the lighting director or anything, what shall I do? You tell me, you know? The score guy, I think, but you watch the film first, you tell me how you would put this score in.
I think you've just kind of written your own book on leadership there.
Okay.
Without you knowing. You have, because all the core things that you hear about a great leader, you've just said in that little moment right there.
Well, I'm pleased about that.
Breaking the norm.
Honestly.
Well,
yeah, of course, you gotta.
That's how you get the best out of people, for the whole cause, not just for your own benefit.
There's not been one person that has ever been on my set, actors, crew, or anything, that I've ever gone, why are they here? Do you know what I mean? Or why have I put them here? Every person is there because they add a certain amount of value to something. And I have a very open, relaxed space. Any idea is a good idea. I might not use it, but it might spark another idea off. And then some people go, oh, did you come up with that idea because I said that? Yeah, it did because you said that. Yeah. But it evolved into something else, and that person feels proud. But it's communication and honesty at the beginning. Tell me, I might not listen. That's honest.
Yeah.
But I might listen, look out for it, and then it's just this collaboration feel. But I've been now talking at some around universities around the country, and some of my crew have been at these talks because I do panel talks for Film Buddy, and I'm an interested guest talking to people about filmmaking, and some of them are my crew, and they all go. Every one of them says that my set was one of the most special places that they've ever been, because it was just so beautiful and open and kind and honest, and the feeling I get from that it's probably better than my films sometimes. Like that somebody and some people have said, oh, because of that, I've got another job in this because of your job, and
it makes it a better job all around, though, doesn't it?
Makes it a beautiful
and then
place,
probably how it's delivered.
It's a very
I can't wait to watch that now.
Such a privileged place to be, where you can be telling stories at that level. Like I'm so lucky to be able to do that. So why be a dick about it? Because that just takes the sting out of it for everyone. Everybody should feel lucky, and I kind of want
ego.
Ego. Ego. It is ego. I want to be the one that's known to have done all this and not anybody else, and la.
Yeah.
Like, I overcredit sometimes. I'm like, what did you do? They went, make a cup of tea, and I went, oh, right, so you're a special advisor to the spoon then. Like, that's your name, that's your name. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's something more in everything.
Yeah.
And whenever I do these talks and they're like, what do you look for? I just say, just a nice person. You know, skills can be taught, but if you're just a nice person, you'll be on my set instantly. Like, that's what I care about.
Think about it, mate.
It's just what I care about.
I think all your past experiences leading up to this date right now, mate, I think you're on the brink of something big, and it'll be fully deserved.
Thank you.
And for the purposes of this podcast, we're going to have to start to wrap it up there, mate. But I feel like we could have gone for quite some time. Maybe just some final thoughts, mate, to leave it all with. Maybe a message to someone that might be struggling mentally right now, and then talk just to wrap up with what can we expect from the film as well.
So the people that are struggling, you know, everybody is struggling in the same way or in a different way. And I did this thing the other day where I was filming a guy sat in the middle of Silverstone, and there was a footfall of thousands of people, and he just sat on a chair, and I put a camera here, and I was just filming him. I says, I want you to look down the barrel of this camera for 10 minutes without moving, holding an Andy's Man Club ball. 10 minutes down the count, and he went, okay. I went, but I'm going to talk to you. He was like, okay. And he was so nervous, and all these people were walking past. And after 5 minutes, I went, have you noticed that no one gives a shit? And he went, yeah. And I went, no one's caring, are they? He went, no. I went, they're all just walking past. He says, all these people only care about how they're perceived in this situation because there's a camera there. They see a camera and go, how do I look? Who's looking at me? So if anything, me and you are completely invisible at this moment. And he went, yeah, we are. And I went, but that's life in general. Doesn't matter if there's a camera there or not. We're always worried about what the other person perceives or thinks about us, but really, at the end of the day, they're just thinking about how they're perceived in that situation. We're all invisible. So why are we taking on imaginary worries or imaginary burden. Voices? Why are we putting this into our heads? Oh, that person thinks this way of me. They probably don't. Or if they did, it might have lasted a split second, and then they're thinking about what they're having for tea, mate. Yeah. Like, when we're not that important to other people's lives, that might be a little bit of an ego thing, but once that's dropped, it's a lot more relaxing.
So liberating.
Yeah.
You can actually get on with your life.
Just get on with it. Get on with it. Yeah. I mean, then you just got to put with your own voices in your head, like, and that's absolutely fine, but, you know. But I mean, that's obviously not to everyone that's struggling. That was just like a pinpointed point of advice, really.
I think that's
a big thing.
That applies to every single person, mate.
Yeah. It's tough. I just see those people. I can see it in their heads, you know, and I still do it to myself. Like, I'll ruminate something that happened a couple of days ago. I'll be like, well, what about that? What about that? And then I go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not thinking about this.
Don't feed it.
Don't need it. Because when I'm thinking it, all this anxiety is going on. My brain don't know the difference between something I'm thinking, imagining, and or something that's really happening to me. It's reacting. Like, that person's still sat there saying that to me. Why? Why is my body reacting to something that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be that way. And for the film, you know, I just want people to watch it and understand that it is okay to talk, and that we're all, you know, we're all just battling this together.
Beautiful.
Thanks, man.
Thank you really for nice your time.
Talk. No, thank you, guys.
It's been great, mate. And can't wait for people to see the film, more importantly. I'm sure people are eager to go watch it. So in terms of public being able to watch it, it might not be some time now, but
Yeah, but the big screening, the big preview screening is July, and then probably about this time next year we'll be looking at maybe some video on demand streaming network, whichever gives us best deal, because it's the first time a film's like it's ever been made. So I want the streaming giants to change their rules as well. If we're doing this, then are you going to charge us that much for this one, or are you going to put money into the charity? It's now on you to prove what you're doing is different with what I'm doing that's different, and keep it moving forward.
Yeah. I've got a weird feeling that this chat's lasted around 90 minutes.
Wow. That would be weird.
Can you just explain before we go why you made the film as 90 minutes?
So in the UK, every 90 minutes a person takes their own life, and that's open to males and females. And I think it's men every hour or every 2 hours a man takes a life. So it's more predominantly men. But I wanted to make sure that women felt inclusive, because obviously it's a man's group, but I wanted, so many women help this organisation. It is unbelievable. Most of the guys that walk through is because the girlfriends, wives or sisters or mothers have kicked them out of a car into a group or got them there. All my music in the film, the background music, is all female sung, so it's like this idea of...
Great soundtrack.
Yeah, great soundtrack. Wow. It's the idea of this support from the outside. So I wanted to make it 90 minutes, so it opened it up, because you don't know if that guy's took his life and then that causes that woman to take her life. So it's all connected. We don't need to be don't need to be too sexist with this. So the whole 90 minutes is the general length of a feature film. So Cannes is like 90 minutes or over. You've got to put a film in. So I thought, I'm going to tie this 90-minute theme into it. I'm going to make the film. By the end of it, once the 90-minute clock comes back up, it starts with a clock to start the urgency and ends with a clock to wrap it up. And I needed to make it feel that 90 minutes wasn't a long time. Filmmaking, the hardest thing to do is make a film feel like it's done. People want that. Although they want to watch a long film, they want it to be done fast, weirdly. They want the pace to move. So I didn't want to make a film that were 90 minutes and go, that dragged, because then it makes like 90 minutes feel too long. But I wanted to make it feel really snappy. So when they thought, shit, 90 minutes is no time whatsoever, and while I've been watching this film, someone's gone out and took their life. So it really kind of brought this idea of what this film...
perspective of that reality, innit?
Yeah. And I think you kind of forget about that clock halfway through as well, don't you? And then you're harshly reminded of it by the end.
Yeah.
And that's where the silence lives.
And I wanted it to carry on, so you've done your job right.
Thank you.
Lee?
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
It's been great. For my first podcast, I've really enjoyed this.
You did outstanding.
First podcast.
Oh, guys.
Mate, this is the first of many for you, believe
thank
me.
you. I hope so. I enjoyed talking.
So, thank you, mate.
Cheers, bro.
Fist bumps.
Nice
Good
one.
lads.
Good man. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.